time for some line. So I know I've been getting a lot of questions about how do you run your airline? Where do you run it through the frame? Do you drill holes? How do you manage all that airline all the way to the back? So today's episode is all about that. So we've ran all of our system. We've got all the air rise stuff set up, and it's time to run our line on this. I'll kind of walk you through this. The camera angles are not going to be that great because I'm going to be up under the truck, but I'm going to try to just guide you through it and give you the best idea of how I run line from the front bags all the way to the back, how I organize it, how I wrap it together, just how I keep all this kind of nice and tidy throughout the truck. So I do it a little bit different. This is one of the ideas that I got from Hester again from Instagram. I've seen that he drills the holes through the side of the frame and runs that through where the e-brake cable usually is. That's what I'm going to be doing today. But I noticed on his last truck, on the front left wheel, he ran the line through the cross member to the right side and drilled 2 holes on the right side and ran all his lines down the right side of his truck all the way to the back. So that's what I'm going to do on no association here. So thanks for the idea, Hester. I think that's how you did it from the pictures. I'm pretty sure. If you didn't, let me know and I'll quit saying things that you don't do. So sorry about that. But hey, let's start running these lines. If you have any questions, post in the comments below. Also, click the subscribe button. If you're watching this video and if I've been able to help with anything, please just hit the subscribe. If you don't have an account, sign up for an account, hit the subscribe. It will help me out just reach more people. Not making any money from this, but hopefully one day I'll be able to help even more people. So anytime I run line or wires or anything through the frame, I like to use these rubber grommets. I got these from Harbor Freight for, man, I think they were about 10 bucks, but look at all the rubber grommets and they include some of the big ones. So I run all my airlines through these to keep it from pinching or causing any kind of damage to the lines, just so you know. All right, so I'm up under the front passenger side, and as I said before, terrible camera angle, but I'll do the best that I can. So you can see I have 2 holes drilled here, and I'm not sure if my grommets fit those holes yet, so I've got to put some grommets in there. May have to drill those out a little bit bigger. So if you're gonna run one line from the front all the way to the back, you'll only need that bottom hole drilled, and that's where we're gonna put the grommet, and we're gonna run our airline through there into the bag right there. So that bag has a 90-degree fitting. Something I was telling one of my friends last night is when you run this airline, try to drill that hole as far down as you can, because you don't want to put it in a bind. Since you have a 90 there, if we were to try to go through that top hole, then we're going to be in a bind. But hopefully that bottom hole will line up nicely. And then as I run those lines through, they're going to go behind the shock and then all the way to this emergency cable bracket. So I'm going to drill that hole out bigger and run 2 lines through there. And through that hole right there, I'll mount 2 airline little brackets that hold them close to the frame, because we'll be running our exhaust out the side of a frame in a later episode. So yeah, just bear with me. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to run my line all the way to that bag, through the cross member right here, all the way to this side through that hole. So you're probably wondering, well, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just drill a hole in the other side and run it back? That's a great question, and you can do it that way. But what I wanted to do is be able to run all my airline from the front down one side of the truck. So I'll be able to run it all down the right side of the truck, all the way back to the tank, and not have to worry about running lines on both sides. So I literally have my phone just laying on the ground right now with the little prop that comes with it. So you're not going to be able to see super close to how I'm doing this, but I wanted to show you how I do it, and then I'll kind of zoom in and show you the after picture. So that'll be the most important thing, of just seeing what the line looks like after it has the grommets and mounted to the frame and all that kind of stuff. So bear with me. So I got the grommets almost all the way in there, but you're gonna need like a flathead screwdriver just to get that last little corner, just to push it in just a hair. There you go. And where I drilled these, I can get my hand on the back side. That's a really important thing. Now it's time to, I'm gonna try to work my airline into the other side of that frame and get it plugged in, and then kind of stretch it all the way to the back to get an idea of the length of the line that I need, and then go ahead and cut that. So I'm gonna go in through that top hole that I had, and I'm gonna put my other hand just up in behind where the other bag is, and just slowly work that line through. You're gonna have to really wiggle it through that grommet there, because it's not tight, but as you're working it at this angle, it can be. And that's kind of what you want. You want to hug it a little bit, but not scrape it. So I've almost got it all the way to the other side now. Once I see that line pop out the other side, I'll go over there. We're just gonna have to work. Okay, I can feel the line here. What I want to do on this other side is use my clips right here, and now that I have it worked through, it picked up a little trash. I'm gonna clip, make that end fresh that I'm gonna push in to the bag on this other side. So anytime that you are about to put a fresh line into a bag, you want to make a nice fresh cut to it. So it's going to be hard for me to show you what I have going on, but this is the bottom of the control arm. Now I've worked the line all the way through that hole, through this cross member, all the way to the other side, and the line's right there, you can see it. So I'm going to plug that directly into this airbag. I got a 90-degree fitting right here, and it's going to plug directly right in there. And then that's going to be all for this left side. You can see the line right there. So I'm going to work it, get this 90 lined up here. When you push this airline in, you can feel it kind of go in, and then you can push and you feel it kind of drop in a second time. That's what you want. When you feel it drop in that second time, that's how you know it's fully seated. And then what we want to do is pull and then put a little snag. That'll really clamp it in. So now I feel it's clamped in really nicely. I'm going to pull a little bit of that slack that I gave myself. I don't want it too tight in here, but man, that feels really good. And that's just one solid line all the way across and then out this hole. Now I can feel my grommet kind of popped out a little, so I'm gonna pop that back in and then start to run this line to the back. Okay, you can see the first line that's ran through there, that's going all the way to the other side. And now we're gonna run our second line directly below it, straight into that bag right there on the front right passenger. Okay, there we go. We got both of our lines ran from the front left and front right. Got them through those grommets. And I've pulled enough slack all the way to the back, and I've cut them to length with a little bit extra. So we're going to run those lines underneath the shock, and I'll put a bracket right there, and then we'll run them through the emergency brake hole. We'll put a big grommet there, and we'll run both lines through there all the way to the back. So here we go. Yay, we got a little daylight out. I pulled the garage door up, so now we can see a lot better. As you can see, there are the two, let me get it clear. There are the two grommets, two airlines running out. I just drilled out this emergency brake cable hole to a 7/8, and then I popped in a big grommet there, and we're gonna run both of those lines directly into there. And where that hole is, we're gonna run 2 of those hose clamps to get them nice and clamped to the frame, and then through that hole all the way to the back. So here's the airline from the emergency brake cable. I'm gonna run it along, this is the harness for the first and second compressor. So along the frame, I've added those all the way down, and I'll actually add one more right here to get that. But for now, I'm gonna run that airline through those little things all the way back to the notch. Okay, here we go. We've got the 2 lines coming from the front 2 bags out those holes with the grommets, and then ran all the way to the emergency brake cable that was drilled out to 7/8. And all I did was get 2 of these little clamps, and I put them together and then run a bolt through the hole that was already there and tighten that down with the nut. And this stuff is mounted solid. Like, you can't, there's no movement in it, so it's not gonna wear that line down. It's to the frame. As I was mentioning, our exhaust is gonna come here, and it's gonna, at an angle, come about right here and then go out and then through the side. So it keeps those lines away from the hot exhaust, not any lines to flop around, so it's gonna get burnt, all the way to the back on one side. So super clean, out of the way, simple, couple grommets, couple brackets, drilling a few holes, and that's the front, how I run the lines. All right, so here are the 2 lines that we have running from the front. You can see I just put it, you've got more of those brackets here, and those are just ran through about 3 of those brackets to right here. So next is going up and around this notch. And earlier I showed you when we ran this wiring harness that I bolted some of these in here. So we're just gonna kind of put that line through there. And then whenever I get to this bottom part, I have to figure out, do I want to run the lines on the side of the gas tank and loop them around? Or am I gonna go with some steel lines, some stainless steel lines? I was messing around and I ran some aluminum lines and it looked really good, but those are so much easier to bend than the stainless. And stainless is expensive, so I can't sit there and mess around with 10 pieces that doesn't fit. So I'm gonna probably just run this all with regular airlines first, and I can always go back and run stainless lines from here back with union. So okay, as you can see, that looks really, really nice going along the frame there. I'm really happy with that, but we still have one more line that we have to plug into this bag and then run around and then through here. So it's gonna be a really tight fit. That last airline is gonna be a little hard to get through there, but we're gonna find a way, and it's gonna be nice because all that stuff is gonna be in there super tight. It's not gonna be flopping around in any of the way of any of the suspension or anything like that. So the only thing that I'm thinking is, after I run that line, there's a chance that that line could rub the side of this. So I might come back in and put some rubber around the line, right around here. Anywhere that that line wants to rub something, we need some protection around it, which could just be some rubber tubing. We could wrap it in some felt, that adhesive felt stuff that I use to wrap around the lines. We could use that. Anything that's going to take the friction off of the airline and the frame. Good thing about these little brackets, you can bend them around, and the way we have it with one screw, you can twist them to fit whatever kind of shape you're trying to do. So we've got those in there. I knew those two were going to be the hardest ones to really get it going through. As I'm working these lines through, you can see that I started kind of on the inside right here. So I try to keep that line exactly where that is. So if you're looking at it from the top, you have all three of those lines almost in a nice 90-degree shape. So they're not all crossing around each other. So it looks really well organized and kind of like we planned it that way from the beginning, but that's just kind of what worked. You're probably thinking, why didn't you just run all that line and then put those clips over it after you were done? And you know, we could have done that, and it'd probably be a lot easier, but I like to go ahead and already have the shape of where these need. That way it can tuck all nicely. If we had, you know, 3 airlines and 4 cables and we're all trying to like press them in and hold them and then do the screw and all that kind of stuff, probably be a little bit difficult. Now you could, that's one way you could do it, but this seemed to work out pretty good this way. So I've got my airlift 3P valve block. It's here, and I want to run all those before I start bolting everything down. But I wanted to give you a glimpse. These are the 3 airlines from the front left, front right, and rear right. So I left a lot of slack in those because I'm going to run those around, and I'm going to cut them. I'm going to mount everything kind of like that, and then plug those into the valve manifold just like that. Tuck this all, make it real nice and tight. And I've got the wiring harness connection that will plug in here just like that. So I'm going to run that. I'm going to connect it with these airlines. Those will all plug in, and that's kind of how the back is going to be set up for now. And if I ever decide that I want stainless steel lines running, then I can connect these lines with a straight union into those metal lines anywhere that I want to, and then it'll be all metal lines back here. So that's kind of what it's going to look like. The other side, all I have to do is run one line from the airbag right there, loop it around, and then around to this first or the second hole right here with air. All right, here's a tip. So after you ran all your line here, you're probably like me and you forgot which one was which again, because I didn't mark these. Usually do mark them. I didn't. So I've come up with this that I've used in the past. This is just a nipple here to a union, and I can stick this on each line and use my air hose and air it up and see which air bag inflates, and then I'll mark it. So then I can pop that off, and then I'll know which ones to stick in. So yeah, union, piece of line to a fitting to a nipple, plug it in. There you go. Now on these front left, front right, rear left, rear right. So I know that one. I'm just going to go ahead and plug these in. Good. All right, we're back at it with this driver's side notch. I'm going to go back to these 1-inch clamps, and I'm going to self-tap those into the notch the same way I did the other side. And after I do that, I'm going to run this airline through it, hook everything up. Then I just got in what I've been waiting for, the EFI fuel line and fuel filter regulator for this Boyd in-tank pump. So I'm going to be hooking all that up next, run it through, and man, the back is real close. I'm just waiting on the Watts link to get here to install it to be able to finish up the back side. So close. As I'm waiting on the Watts link, I'll probably go ahead and hop on doing the raised bed floor. And I'm excited about that because this is, I think, the first ever fully bolt-on raised bed floor that I've seen. So if you're excited about hearing about a bolt-on bed floor, just wait. I've kind of thought this out and I have a good plan that makes it available for anybody that wants to do a raised bed floor. Just some simple metal, some drills, some rivets. We're going to be good to go. This is what I'm using here, just 1-inch clamps, insulated cable clamps. These are like a normal clamp, but they have that rubber around them, so it's not going to pinch your line or anything like that. And I'm just using some number 14 1-inch self-tapping hex washer bits. Now I used to use Phillips head, but Phillips head will strip out on you. These, with that hex head, it's way better. That way you don't have anything that strips out. So just a simple tip there. I put a little extra flex in it. Okay, so I have all the airlines ran back to the manifold, plugged in, and now I'm just trying to kind of organize everything. I've got this plugged in here. I've got these lines running up here. That one. I'm really loving this Velcro stuff. So you can cut this to size and it will Velcro to itself. So this is great to organize things and then also be able to remove it later on. Instead of like a zip tie, you got to cut it. Zip ties start to add up after a while. So these are good to just organize wire. And I got this stuff from Lowe's in the electrical section. I just happened to see it and I was like, you know what? I think I could probably use some of that. It's kind of something like that. Keep it all nice and tucked. Try to figure out is right here. I don't like how this airline is up against the tank. Even though this isn't going to be kind of flopping around and rubbing a hole, I will probably find something to put either on the corner of the gas tank or just wrap my line in something here. It could even be some of this felt right there. I might actually go ahead and do that. Perfect. There we go. That looks good. I'll kind of do a wrap around of it. I'll probably cut this a little bit shorter just to make it asymmetrical there. Here is where the gas tank tube will go up to the raised bed floor. Once I get all these gas lines in and ran, then I can put the tank back up there and start plumbing all the tank. I'm still waiting on those 2 water traps to get here for the tank, but that's all I'm waiting for to finish up the air ride stuff in the back.